In Hong Kong's underworld, where every bullet has a consequence and every cop hides a secret, one man stands at the center of the chaos. Inspector Tequila, wild, relentless, and impossible to control, dives headfirst into a gang war that spirals far beyond a simple gun deal. What begins as a routine sting erupts into a violent chain of betrayals, undercover missions, and explosive showdowns, pulling Tequila into the deadliest case of his life. If you love gun-fu chaos, Brotherhood under fire, and non-stop Hong Kong action, you're in the right place. Stick with me till the end. This case doesn't end in handcuffs. It ends in blood, betrayal, and one unforgettable final showdown. Like, subscribe, and let's break down one of the most explosive action films ever made. After a long, stressful day, Inspector Tequila heads to a jazz bar with his partner, Benny Mac, to unwind. Tequila knocks back a shot of tequila, picks up an instrument, and lets the music flow freely. Though his real name is Yuan Ho Yan, his love for tequila earned him the nickname Inspector Tequila, a fitting moniker for someone as wild and unpredictable as him. Tequila is the type of person who enters a room with loud confidence, doing whatever he thinks is right, even if it means bending the rules. Later, Tequila and Benny rush to a tea house after receiving intel about a gun deal involving triad members. Upon arrival, they blend in, pretending to be ordinary customers. The leader of the gang appears carrying a birdcage, and Tequila keeps a sharp eye on him. He notices another man sitting quietly at a separate table, observing the deal. Suddenly, one of the tea servers, who's actually an undercover cop, knocks the birdcage off the table, revealing two guns. In an instant, the quiet observer springs into action, opening fire and igniting a chaotic gunfight. Tequila swiftly grabs the two guns from the birdcage and retaliates, firing back at the triad members. Bullets fly indiscriminately, with no concern for the civilians around them. Tequila leaps and rolls, taking down gang members with ruthless precision. Benny, caught in the crossfire, is shot multiple times by the observer, killing him. Driven by a thirst for vengeance, Tequila chases down the shooter, killing him in cold blood. As Tequila mourns Benny, his superior, Superintendent Pang, arrives furious over his recklessness. Not only had his partner ended up dead and countless innocent people gotten hurt, but the man Tequila killed was a key witness he desperately needed alive. It turns out the man was an undercover agent. After Benny's funeral, Tequila goes to the jazz bar, lost in thought. Mr. Wu, the bar owner and former cop, comforts him, reminding him that sometimes life doesn't go the way we expect. Meanwhile, Alan, a cold-blooded assassin working for triad boss Uncle Hoy, enters a library, picks up a book, and joins a man at his table. The man, a double-crosser working for a rival triad, realizes his fate too late. Alan calmly draws a gun from the book and shoots him in the head. Uncle Hoy, a man who treats his men like sons, is unaware of Alan's shifting loyalties. Johnny Wong, a ruthless triad boss looking to take control through a gun smuggling operation, is impressed by Alan's skills. He offers Alan a place by his side, a compensation for killing one of his best men. Despite Alan's reluctance, he accepts. However, Johnny's enforcer, Mad Dog, is skeptical, but Johnny ignores his concerns. Back at the police headquarters, Tequila clashes with Pang, who insists he stay away from the triad investigation, claiming it's under control. Tequila, however, believes Pang is simply playing it safe and allowing the situation to worsen. Meanwhile, Tequila's girlfriend, Teresa Chang, a fellow cop, keeps receiving mysterious flowers, stirring a hint of jealousy in Tequila. Unbeknownst to him, they're from an undercover agent, sending coded messages to Pang through the notes. Tequila, unable to ignore the triads any longer, confronts Johnny, vowing to take him down. Alan steps in, knocking Tequila to the ground. Johnny nearly shoots him, but Alan stops him, saying it's not the right time. Later, Pang receives another coded message, warning him that Tequila is jeopardizing the life of his undercover agent. Pang summons Tequila, ordering him to back off. Tequila refuses. To prove his loyalty, Johnny invites Alan to join him in raiding Uncle Hoy's warehouse. Tequila, however, has already learned of the raid from his informant, Foxy, and heads there alone. Foxy, a former undercover agent now working as a triad member, leaks information to the police. When Foxy was exposed as a traitor, Alan had intervened and saved his life. Johnny and his men head to Hoy's warehouse, with Johnny telling Alan that if he's serious about joining forces, he'll have to kill Hoy. Alan agrees, though he looks conflicted. They arrive at the warehouse and launch a fierce attack, killing all of Hoy's men. The two gangs come face to face in a bloody standoff. Hoy, a man of honor, orders his men to lower their guns, refusing to start a fight. But Johnny and his men mock him. Johnny and his men scoff at him. But Hoy calmly tells Johnny it's fine if he dies, but pleads for him to spare his men. He then asks to speak with Alan. Hoy admits that he knew this day would come, given the nature of their business, but he never expected Alan to betray him. Regardless, Hoy says he would rather Alan be the one to end his life than be killed by Johnny or his men. Alan, clearly fond of the old man, hesitates, but knowing his position as an undercover agent, he pulls the trigger and kills Hoy. He finishes off Hoy's remaining men. Johnny, pleased with the outcome, turns to leave. But the chaos isn't over. Tequila, who has been silently observing, opens fire, igniting yet another chaotic battle. Johnny manages to escape, leaving Mad Dog and a few other men behind. Tequila takes down Johnny's men, wounding Mad Dog and leaving him blinded in one eye. Alan and Tequila finally come face to face, guns aimed at each other. Alan smirks as Tequila's gun clicks dry. They lock eyes, but just as Alan braces for his fate, he pulls his gun away and runs off, leaving him confused. Alan retreats to his yacht, reflecting on the mission and the toll it takes to get close to someone, earn their trust, and ultimately betray them. Tequila storms into Pang's office, confronting him about Alan. He suspects Alan is an undercover agent, especially after the way he let him go. Pang refuses to confirm or deny, and Tequila warns that if they cross paths again, he'll kill him. Pang reminds Tequila that he shouldn't even be on the case, warning him to back off, but Pang's words seem to wash over him, like water on a rock. Later, Pang meets with Alan, promising to pull him out if he thinks the mission is getting too dangerous. But Alan, determined to finish what he started, refuses to back down. Tequila tracks Alan to his yacht, where he finds a collection of paper cranes. He mocks Alan for being bored and lonely, but Alan admits that each crane represents a life he's taken. As their conversation deepens, Tequila soon realizes that Alan is an undercover agent. They start to familiarize themselves with each other, and Tequila proposes they team up to take down Johnny together. Just as they begin to form an alliance, the remaining members of Hoy's gang ambush them. Even with a gunshot wound to his back, Alan remains completely unaffected. He joins Tequila in taking down Hoy's men with brutal efficiency. But just as they eliminate all the men, Alan spots Johnny and his men approaching. He urges Tequila to hide before they arrive and tells him that they'll communicate me using paper cranes. Tequila hides just in time, not wanting to blow Alan's cover. Johnny arrives and takes Alan to the Maple Hospital. Inside, Johnny tells the nurse not to record Alan's injuries. He reveals to Alan that it was Foxy who tipped off Hoy's men about Alan's location. He vows to kill Foxy, especially since Foxy also knows where Johnny's arsenal is hidden. Alan assures Johnny that he'll handle the situation. Later, Johnny and his men capture Foxy, and Mad Dog mercilessly beats him. Alan steps in, hits Foxy, and shoots him, but not before secretly slipping a lighter into Foxy's breast pocket to stop the bullet from reaching his heart. Meanwhile, Tequila is at the Jazz bar chatting with Mr. Wu Yimi when Foxy stumbles in, severely wounded. As Tequila holds him in his arms, Foxy reveals that Johnny's illegal guns are hidden in a vault in the Maple Hospital basement. Johnny learns that Foxy is still alive and at the hospital with Tequila. He sends Mad Dog to kill them both, but Alan requests handling it himself. Johnny, skeptical, agrees but secretly sends Mad Dog and others to keep an eye on Alan. Foxy makes it out of surgery and finds Tequila by his side. When a nurse enters to administer Foxy's meds, she hands Tequila a paper crane. Tequila understands the signal and moves Foxy to a safer location. Alan arrives at Foxy's room, holding a box of roses. He stalls, realizing a few of Johnny's men are watching him. Knowing Tequila must have moved Foxy, Alan retrieves a gun from the box and bursts into the room, firing blanks. The men rush in, and Alan locks the door and shoots them. When Tequila reappears, Alan demands to know where Johnny's weapon vault is, reminding Tequila of the trouble he's gone through to keep Foxy alive. Tequila hesitates, and as they converse, Foxy in a panic tries to escape the hospital, even though he's in a wheelchair. Mad Dog, however, double-crosses him, killing Foxy without hesitation. The guards at the hospital, revealed to be Johnny's men, begin cleaning up the bloodstains. Tequila and Alan chase after Mad Dig following the blood trail, but he eludes them. The duo meets with Teresa and Tequila tells her to expect a flower from him, which is a signal for her and Pang to start evacuating the patients. Before leaving, he discreetly slips a rose into her pocket. Having learnt of a possible entrance at the morgue, Tequila and Alan make their way to the morgue, determined to find the entrance to the secret basement. They quickly take out the morgue workers and, using their quick thinking, they uncover a hidden passage among the morgue refrigerator doors. However, they can't figure out how to access the vault. Desperately, they attempt different methods to open the door. A risky move nearly leads to Alan being electrocuted and almost dying. As Tequila rushes to revive Alan, the door suddenly opens, revealing Mad Dog on the other side, already firing at them. The trio battles fiercely, exchanging gunfire and engaging in hand-to-hand combat. But Mad Dog, as his name suggests, is hard to kill. Johnny, watching from the security cameras, orders a guard to activate the basement's coolant system. Mad Dog notices and swiftly makes his escape. He shoots the control panel, causing the door to close behind him, trapping Tequila and Alan inside. Meanwhile, Teresa finds the rose in her pocket and rushes to meet Peng, who's arrived with some detectives to help evacuate patients. When the doctor refuses to comply, Teresa sets off the fire alarm, forcing everyone to evacuate. Johnny, seeing the patients and staff trying to escape, enforces a full lockdown and orders his men to stop everyone from leaving. They shoot indiscriminately at the fleeing patients and police officers. The police surround the building, but Johnny doesn't care. He commands his men to hold everyone hostage, confident they can outshoot the cops if necessary. He mocks Tequila over the intercom, threatening to blow up the hospital. Not ready to listen to his bullshit, Tequila blows up the camera, cutting off their stream. Mad Dog suggests Johnny let the patients go, arguing that he's already winning, but Johnny, erratic as ever, refuses. It's always his way or the highway. In the basement, Tequila discovers C4 explosives and uses them to blast their way out. As they break through, they quickly take down Johnny's men who stand in their way. Alan takes down a uniformed guard, posing as him with a gun to Tequila's head. He enters the lobby, where Johnny's men are holding hostages, including Peng, Teresa, and the detectives, who are blending in to avoid revealing their identities. Alan announces he's found a cop, alerting Johnny's men while silently communicating with his colleagues through eye contact. When the men least expect it, Tequila and Alan open fire, taking them down. Peng, Teresa, and the detectives usher the staff and patients out. Elsewhere in the hospital, the Special Duties Unit crashes in, firing at Johnny's men. Teresa hurries to the maternity ward to save the newborns still in danger. With help from the Special Duty officers, they head for an exit but find it blocked. They're forced to climb out through a window and descend using a rope. Meanwhile, Tequila and Alan continue to take down Johnny's men throughout the hospital. Alan accidentally shoots a plainclothes officer and guilt overwhelms him. Tequila consoles him, sharing his own experience from the tea house and encouraging him to keep going. In the maternity ward, Teresa and the Special Duty officers fight to get the babies out safely. Though some of the officers get shot by Johnny's men, it didn't deter the others. Meanwhile, Tequila and Alan face off against Mad Dog once again. Alan urges Tequila to go help Teresa with the remaining babies. When it's Teresa's turn to climb out the window, a baby's cry stops her. They've forgotten one. Tequila rushes to grab the baby, but Tequila tells her to go ahead, assuring him he'll follow with the child. Just then, more men attack. Tequila manages to take them down but is shot in the process. Despite the chaos, the baby remains unharmed. In the final showdown, Alan and Mad Dog engage in a tense duel. They allow the patients to leave safely, but Johnny arrives and shoots the patients in cold blood in an attempt to kill Alan. Enraged, Mad Dog confronts Johnny, telling him that killing innocent people isn't necessary. Mad Dog, in a fit of rage, shoots at Johnny, but his gun runs dry, leaving Johnny the chance to shoot him instead without hesitation. Alan, badly wounded, runs into Tequila, who's holding the baby. The two confront Johnny, who holds a remote detonator in his hand. Johnny tries to make his escape. Alan refuses to leave and goes after him. Johnny presses the button, setting off bombs throughout the hospital. Tequila, clutching the baby close, rushes down the corridor as flames erupt around him. Surrounded by flames, unable to get to the stairway, Tequila tucks the baby under his jacket, yanks a set of cables from the ceiling, and makes a desperate run for the window. He's struck by a flying flame and his pants catch fire, but as he struggles to stamp it out, the baby pees, putting out the flames. Tequila makes it outside to the cops. Johnny emerges, dragging Alan with him. Johnny taunts Tequila, holding a gun to Alan's head. He forces Tequila to humiliate himself. Alan struggles for Johnny's gun and accidentally shoots himself in the chest, distracting Johnny just long enough for Tequila to fatally shoot him in the head. In the aftermath, it's revealed that Alan survived. To protect Alan from the triads, Pang and Tequila destroy his personnel file and declare him dead, giving him the chance to leave Hong Kong and start a new life like he's always dreamed of. If you made it this far, you didn't just watch a movie, you survived a war. This wasn't just bullets and explosions. It was brotherhood, betrayal, and the price of loyalty in a world where no one walks away clean. If you enjoy classic Hong Kong gun-fu, deep character breakdowns, and no-nonsense recaps that don't skip the hard parts, hit like to support the channel. Subscribe for more legendary action films, crime epics, and cult classics, broken down scene by scene. And tell me in the comments, which Hong Kong action movie should I recap next? New recaps dropping regularly. Don't miss the next one. If you want to watch a stylish gangster betrayal where loyalty means everything, and one man's downfall sparks a brutal path to redemption, this story delivers. Brothers are torn apart, trust is shattered, and a calm, trench coat-wearing gunman with unmatched swagger turns friendship into legend through blood and sacrifice. If you like Chow Yun-Fat, click here for the next recap.